Last year, we saw the release of many great films that dominated the box office and stole all the spotlight. But unlike all the normies rewatching Endgame for the fifth time, I was in the dirt, searching the dark depths of the internet, and guess what I found? One of, if not the worst movies I had the displeasure of viewing and reviewing again like another 10 times for the sake of this video, so you won't have to. If you watch this video and still feel like this movie is worth the viewing, you are either brain dead or the quarantine has finally pushed you over the edge. No amount of LSD would make this an enjoyable movie. I could probably sell this to the government as a new form of torture. That's how bad it is. Anyway, I'll stop telling you it's bad and start telling you how and why it's bad. Before we talk about all the things that went wrong with this movie, let's talk about all the good stuff. Okay, now let's talk about the bad stuff. And oh boy, where do I even begin? Well, since 99% of the film is people talking, let's talk about the talking. It's shit. Tell me why Zoe would have been a better choice compared to these Muppets. The worst case of bad acting in the movie is the main character. He always has the same expression throughout the movie, and his tone only changes when the script tells him to scream. Anytime he tries to act, it feels forced and doesn't help that the actors improvise the script on the spot, even though they had a script to work with. While the main character got the worst actor, the others were a bit better. Don't get me wrong, they were still doo-doo, but at least their expression changed and the tone of their voice shifted depending on what was happening around the time. Their dialogue felt exaggerated, but at least you knew how they were feeling, unlike the main character who sounded brain dead, which leads me to believe the actor might be brain dead as well. Now we got the worst out of the way, let's talk about the other actors. They aren't bad, normally I hate on them for being exaggerated, because they can't act and need somewhere to hide it. But everyone featured in this film exaggerates their character. This sets the tone for the film that everyone except the main character follows. Well, I finished about acting, so let's talk about the characters in the movie. I'm positive the production team spent about 5 minutes making these characters. These simply uninteresting characters. You have probably seen the same type of characters in other films and shows. This guy is the mentor, who surprisingly doesn't die. This dude is the generic crazy guy in every movie whose main purpose is for comedic effect. The thing is, all the jokes aren't funny because they follow the unholy law of random is funny. Don't get me wrong, this type of comedy can work as evident from the wild popularity of Vine back in the day, but it doesn't work here because this movie is much longer than a Vine, which by the way is 20 minutes long. You could cut out 75% of this movie and it would still work, arguably better. This person, who is technically the main villain of the story, has no originality. He's a gangster, done before. Thinks he's smart, done before. I would write more, but it's so forgettable, I already forgot about it. Now, let's talk about the story. It has more plot holes than a slice of Swiss cheese. Let's start at the beginning. Why didn't Tony come up with this amazing escape plan at the start of his sentence? He must have been pretty brain dead to take 1.5 years to come with an idea so stupid a retarded dog could come up with it. Anyway, after using the power of the touch to destroy a guard, he just walks out. That's right, there are no guards in this prison. Just one guard who stares into the distance. You brain dead potato. Anyway, after he just walks out, he decides to stop right outside the prison. He stops right outside of the prison he just escaped. Upon exiting the prison, he decides to free his friend, who is also in prison. The movie cuts to his friend locked up in a very secure looking prison. Yes, these wooden bars are very secure. Anyway, after a very unnecessary conversation between the guard and Baba, yes, they rip off the name from the black guy from Forrest Gump. Anyway, it's better to show you guys how amazing this escape is.
We're your friends, mate!
What did you say?
Wait, Baba!
Hey, Tony!
I've got you out! Right, let's go! Meet me out there!
Open the button! Mate, don't forget the button!
Alright, I'll jump over! Alright, cool! Come on, mate, you're almost there!
After Barbara escapes, they have a conversation right outside the prison. Yes, they did this again. Much of the conversation is unnecessary, and all they had to say was, let's start up the drug business, and that should have been it. But they keep going and going on and on and on. After that very interesting conversation, we cut to them boarding an airplane, which is, yes, you guessed it, another pointless scene. This scene is meant for comedic purposes, but I can't find any of that here, so it's not even worth talking about. The next scene is just some more useless dialogue no one asked for. Also, you can barely hear them because of the wind. Which either the editor couldn't be bothered getting rid of, or their skills were non-existent and they shouldn't have been working on this film in the first place. Then we get another example of random is funny, which once again falls flat. Who the hell asks if there's chicken in a fire extinguisher? Another thing I like to point out are the people just chilling inside their homes. There's no explanation for this. So it just makes this feel badly put together, which it is. After that, we get a cut 3 months later, and our two stooges are in a drug deal. This is where we get introduced to the main character. The drug deal goes on, and we get some more badly done comedy and unnecessary dialogue. While I'm here, let's talk about the many times actors keep on looking at the camera. It happens way too often. Even in some professionally made movies, we see actors diverting their eyes from what they're meant to be looking at. But it's rarely noticed, unlike this film, which has it in spades. So good luck not noticing. After the cringe, MC overdoses and we hear what can only be described as Satan farting. MC wakes up in a hospital to find a secret agent by his side, and they both decide to fight those two drug guys. Look, I'm getting tired of saying the acting is bad. All the acting in this movie is bad, so I'm not gonna mention it again, cause you're probably getting tired of me saying it. Unfortunately, bad acting isn't the only problem with this scene. What I'm talking about is how easily MC decides to join with Silva. He says they ruined his life, but it was all his fault. He shouldn't have been taking drugs in the first place. This movie's really dumb, okay? How it got past the brainstorming phase, I don't know, and I don't want to think. This pile of garbage has used up more of my brain cells than it's worth. The next scene is probably the most unnecessary scene of them all. Get this, MC starts describing the drug guys to Silva. He does this for a minute and then guess what Silva says?
Like a leather jacket.
I'll tell you what. I'll send the pictures you sent me to them to the agency, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll get them to put them on the news. So if anyone sees them, they can call us up. We can go get them. All right?
Then what was the point in the last minute? Also, how did MC even get those pictures? I understand that the drug guys are dumb, but the intelligence is comparable to an NPC from an Elder Scrolls game. We cut to a scene of the drug guys finding out they're wanted, and you know what they do? Decide to go to a cafe. They realize the entire country is after them, and they decide to eat in a public place where everyone can see them. Anyway, turns out the good guys are in the cafe and spot the bad guys. What follows is a shootout, which is almost as bland as the rest of the film, but isn't, because there's at least something harassing your eardrums during this scene. We get introduced to 3 new characters in this scene, of which 2 of them die. Very sad. Anyway, MC cashes in on his plot convenience card and pulls a grenade out of his ass that can track whoever's DNA it has locked onto. This is never explained and never brought up again. The grenade unknowingly latches onto main drug guy, whom I don't even know his name anymore. And voila, you guys know exactly where main bad guy's gonna be. I almost feel bad for the bad guys. They got the impossible task of going against plot. Both parties escape, and I wish I could escape from this video, but there's about 9 minutes left of this abortion, so let's journey on. Another unnecessary scene plays where Silver tells MC they found the bad guys. I could crap on this scene a lot more, but they didn't put any effort into it, so I shouldn't be expected to either. The time has come, and the epic finale is about to start. At least that's how the makers of this so-called movie expected us to react. In reality, it's more like, are we done yet? Anyway, bad guys are watching a game when good guys knock at their door, so they decide to hide. Fortunately for Baba, he invested all his skill points into a sneak build and was able to escape scratch-free, but main guy was too busy looking at the camera and was spotted. This leads to a chase scene which, thank God, doesn't go for longer than a minute. Anyway, after that we are treated to a fight scene comparable to a hardcore game of Uno gone wrong. Anyway, something interesting I found about this scene on my 7th viewing was that they were able to get a cameo from YouTube sensation Void Eon. He's here in the background and is the one giving the MC the traffic cone for some reason. I'm not gonna question it, because without it we wouldn't have gotten a cameo from the man himself. Anyway, after beating the main bad guy to death, good guys find Baba and catch him. This is where the movie should have ended, but nah, they just had to go on for another 6 minutes about the bad guy's appearance in court. These 6 minutes have no reason to be here. The entirety of it isn't funny. The first time I watched it, I didn't laugh. The 11th time I watched it, I didn't laugh. The scene is only there to make the audience laugh, and it doesn't. The only part that makes this tolerable is this shining ray of good acting. Get this man an Oscar, because he has no business being in this train wreck of a movie. Well, after that incredibly important scene, we arrived at the credits, and therefore, the end of this film. Overall, the movie was below all the standards. And if I was to rate it from Jake Paul to Floyd Eon, I'd give it a J station.